I'll tell you, it's an interesting story. I graduated from the University of Texas School of Law in 1998. Went to a place in Washington, D.C. and worked for a law firm and waited for my bar results. And as soon as those bar results came in November of 98, I returned to San Antonio and took up a practice that was started by my uncle. And back in that time, in 1999, I think my overall monthly budget was probably about $500 or $600. A car payment. I think my student loans were in forbearance, and so I had a very small budget. And when an opportunity to run for the state house came, I sort of looked internally and realized that this was the best time in my life to enter into something, and not knowing if I'm going to win or lose, but knowing that if I needed to make $500 or $600 a month to sustain my personal obligations, that I could, if I made that in one day, that I could campaign for the rest of the month. If it took me 2 weeks to make that money, then I could campaign for 2 weeks. And frankly speaking, I think it was the best decision timing-wise. I mean, now I was 28 then. I'm 41 now. I have 2 children. I have responsibilities. I'm not so sure if public service would be on my top tier now, knowing everything that I'm responsible for as a parent and as a husband. But it was really a unique time to say, you know what, let's just try it. I was living in my mother's house, and I felt that the person representing the district, although a nice man, really didn't have those issues that were important to constituents. And all it took was a couple of Saturdays knocking on doors and asking people if they knew who their state representative was. And when they said no, I knew that I had a shot.
Had you been interested in politics leading up to that? Did it kind of come to you, or had you been?
Well, I remember some of my father died in 1993 with throat cancer, and he wasn't a smoker. But some of my fondest memories were I was like 12 years old, 13 years old, and he had run for county commissioner in San Antonio. And we had this van, it was a Mary Myler, and I just remember my dad would drive all over Precinct 2, and we'd put signs together, and I thought that was a campaign. And then my parents owned a couple of restaurants, and so my father sat at one of the tables with a phone line he had installed and opened up the phone book, and when he saw the right zip code, he called that person, and I thought that was a campaign, and so I was intrigued by it. I never lost that appetite for politics, and as I was a young college student, I had an opportunity to work as an intern for Attorney General Dan Morales. And then I came back in my law school days and worked for him again as a law clerk. And I certainly got a taste and exposure to Austin, the legislature. And when I thought public service was something I wanted to do, I realized very early on that if I had a good idea in the state of Texas as a member of the House, that my idea would impact 20 million people and now 25 million people. And that seemed to take a higher priority than other places like maybe city council or school board. You felt like I could really have a positive impact in a very big way. And so I sort of set my sights on Austin, and I even, choosing where to go to law school, I felt UT, although one of the best law schools in the country, certainly puts you in place to play the full contact sport of Texas politics. And being in Austin certainly gave me that exposure.
You're really right there on top of it when you're in school at that time in Austin.
I mean, I'm telling you, we saw so much. I know Carlos Martinez is in the audience. We were classmates at UT. We were one of the last minority classes before Hopwood, and then you had the Hopwood decision. And there's so many things happening, in those 3 years at UT that really, told me that, public service is really a noble calling, and you can really, what I've learned is you can have an impact and do lots of good, you can do lots of bad, or you can do nothing at all. And fortunately, I've chosen the path that I think I want to be in this business to do a lot of good. And we certainly have a lot of challenges where we could have some positive improvement in that respect.